Have you ever stopped to think about how life, well, copies itself? How every living thing creates a perfect blueprint for the next generation of cells? Today, we're diving deep into that incredible molecular machine. We're talking about DNA replication.
Believe it or not, right this second, as you're sitting there, your body is making millions upon millions of new cells. It's just happening. But think about it. For that to work, every single new cell needs a flawless copy of your DNA, the complete instruction manual. So how on earth does life pull off this epic copying challenge?
So why is all this copying so crucial? I mean, what's the point? It all comes down to one fundamental process: cell division. Before one cell can split and become two, it absolutely has to duplicate its entire library of genetic material. This is the only way to make sure both of the new daughter cells get a complete and identical set of instructions to, live.
Now, this whole copying process doesn't just happen randomly. It's a highly scheduled event. It takes place during a very specific window in the cell's life, called the S phase. And that S stands for synthesis, which makes perfect sense, because this is literally when a whole new copy of DNA is being made or synthesized.
Okay, so how does this whole thing actually get started? The best way to picture it is like a massive, microscopic construction project. And what's the very first thing you do on any construction site? You've got to unroll the original blueprint and get the site ready for work.
So let's meet the first key player on our molecular construction crew. This is the enzyme that gets the whole site prepped, and it has the perfect name: DNA helicase. And yep, its job is exactly what it sounds like. A helicase is like this little molecular machine that just chugs along the DNA strand. Its whole purpose is to break the weak hydrogen bonds holding the two strands together. You can think of them as the rungs on the DNA ladder. It literally unwinds and unzips that famous double helix right down the middle, exposing the two halves so they can be used as templates. And that spot, the exact point where the DNA is actively being unzipped, creates this distinctive Y shape. We call it the replication fork. You could think of this fork as our bustling construction zone. This is where all the action is about to go down. All right, our blueprint is unzipped, the site is prepped. It's time to bring in the master builder. This is the enzyme that's actually going to do the heavy lifting and construct the brand new DNA strands. And the undisputed star of this entire process is an enzyme called DNA polymerase. Seriously, this one is the hero of our story. If helicase opened up the job site, polymerase is the one that's going to build the whole new structure, piece by meticulous piece.
So what polymerase does is it moves along each of those exposed original strands, reading the sequence of bases. As it reads a base, it grabs the matching nucleotide that's just floating around in the nucleus and locks it into place. And it is incredibly strict about the rules. Adenine, or A, always pairs with thymine, T, and guanine, G, always pairs with cytosine, C. This ensures the new copy is a perfect mirror image of the original.
So that sounds pretty straightforward, right? Just read one side and build the other. But, there's a catch, a really important one. There's a rule that DNA polymerase has to follow, a limitation that introduces a really fascinating complication into our whole construction project. And this little complication leads to what I like to call a tale of two strands. Because of this one simple rule, the two new DNA strands actually have to be built in completely different ways. It's pretty wild. So here is the rule, the big catch. DNA strands have directionality. They're like a one-way street. We label the two ends of a strand 5' and 3'. Now, our master builder, DNA polymerase, is a bit picky. It can only build in one direction. It can only add new nucleotides onto the 3' end of a growing strand. It's a strict one-way street for construction, no exceptions. And this is where that one-way street rule creates two totally different building scenarios. For one of the new strands, the one we call the leading strand, everything is perfect. The polymerase can just cruise along smoothly, right behind the unzipping helicase, building one long continuous piece. But then there's the other side, the lagging strand. Here, the template is running in the opposite direction, so the polymerase has to work backwards. It builds a short chunk away from the fork, then has to jump back to where the new DNA has unzipped and start another short chunk. These short disconnected pieces of DNA that are built on the lagging strand actually have a name. They're called Okazaki fragments. This whole process of starting and stopping might seem a little clunky, but it's an absolutely brilliant workaround for that tricky one-way street problem. So, where are we now? We've got one new strand that's smooth and continuous, and another one that's made up of all these little fragments. The job's not done yet. We've got to connect those pieces and make that second strand whole.
So how do we join all these fragments? Well, this is where our final key enzyme comes onto the scene. Let's bring in the cleanup crew, DNA ligase. You can basically think of this one as the molecular glue.
DNA ligase's job is simple, but absolutely essential. It moves along that lagging strand, finds the tiny gaps between all those Okazaki fragments, and it seals them up. It creates the final chemical bonds in the DNA's backbone, transforming that collection of separate pieces into one single solid continuous strand of DNA.
So to boil this whole incredible construction project down to its core, you just need to remember 3 simple steps. First, you unzip. That's helicase unwinding the DNA. Second, you build. That's DNA polymerase adding all the new bases. And third, you seal. That's ligase joining all the fragments. Unzip, build, seal. That's the essence of it.
And what's the grand result of all this? Well, here you have it. We started with one DNA molecule, and at the end of it all, we have 2 perfect copies, both completely identical to the original and to each other. Mission accomplished.
Now, scientists have a specific name for this process, and it's pretty cool. It's called semi-conservative replication. Why? Well, it's because each of the new DNA molecules conserves one of the original old strands and pairs it with one brand new strand. So each molecule is half old and half new, semi-conservative.
And honestly, what might be the most mind-blowing part of this whole thing is the incredible accuracy. DNA polymerase isn't just a builder, it's also a meticulous proofreader. As it adds new bases, it's constantly double-checking its own work. If it makes a mistake, it usually backs up, snips out the wrong base, and fixes it on the fly. This results in a copy that is astonishingly close to perfect.
But notice I said nearly perfect. The system is incredible, but it's not totally infallible. And that leads us to one last really big question. What happens when one of those extremely rare mistakes does slip through the proofreading? What are the consequences of one tiny error in the genetic code? Well, that is a story for another time.